Welcome to Fuller Speed Ahead. I'm Craig Fuller, right here from Freight Alley in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're actually hosting friends from Lean Staffing and Lean Tech Solutions here in Chattanooga. You guys are a really important provider in the space that not a lot of people know the name. I'd like to talk a little bit about what you guys do.
Great, thank you. It's great to be here. We're looking forward to this event. Adam and myself, we love what we're doing. We're here actually celebrating. We just passed 1,000 employees in Colombia, which is great. So we're kind of celebrating that. But we're like you guys. We're exploding now, trying to get our name out there everywhere. And it's impressive what you guys have done here. And we're just trying to follow the same path where we can get our name out there as fast as possible, and many people know about us. And partnering with FreightWaves the way we are and doing these events and has allowed us to do that. And we're just blessed in the clients we have and what people are coming on board.
So David, you co-founded the company.
I did.
And tell me, and this is about 9 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2012 essentially. Between 10 and 12, it was a thought process, and then launched in 2012. Essentially as starting as a business and taking legs. We ran it for about 2.5 years, just figuring things out, and more of a experiment and doing it. And then in about 2014, we started getting a lot of, "What are you doing down there? Why are you going to Colombia?" with people that knew us and just knew us, friends in the industry, and wanting to go to Colombia because Colombia is a great place to visit. And what are you going there for? Take us. Then we explain to what we're doing. They're like, "Oh, that's interesting. That could help me." And when simultaneously what's happened in the U.S. with the unemployment and the way it's harder and harder to hire those people to come in at entry level. Traditionally in transportation, you come in at entry level and you grow, and now companies are scaling, trying to hire 20 or 30 people at a time in entry level positions, and they're not staying. They're having crazy turnover. So it kind of put us in a perfect spot to come in and excel to where we're at today by offering pretty much immediate talent readily available to work and with minimal turnover. Our retention rate is 97%.
Wow. Is it all, you're doing nearshoring? Is that the term that you guys use for it? Or?
It is correct. What we do is we like to consider ourselves, we partner with transportation logistics companies to help them open their satellite office in Colombia. So like typical outsourcing, you put it in the hands of the people running the outsourcing center to manage it and do it. What we do is we have everything in place. We have the office space, the phones, the desks, computers, the people, and what we do is we essentially immediately turnkey your office near shore. Our customers come down, they put their logo on the wall, their employees wear their logos on the shirt, it's their culture. We might have a client from Pittsburgh and they have the Pittsburgh Steelers colors, we have a client from Cleveland's got the Browns, and so it's really, and when people come down there to visit the offices down there, they actually put on there, "I'm at my office in Colombia."
Yeah.
So it's what's essentially doing is we've taken an area of the world that you can get really talented, educated people that are hungry to work and don't have a lot of options, and we've told companies here in the U.S., hey, if you're struggling with turnover and hiring and filling these lower level positions, open an office in Colombia, because there's plenty of resources there that can fill that void that you have now and where we're at in the marketplace when it comes to hiring people. There's so many more transportation companies now than there have been in the past. Even right here in Chattanooga, they're competing like crazy for employees.
Yeah. It's a very competitive market. But are you focused only on transportation logistics, or do you guys do other sectors?
So we have a couple small sectors that just came by accident. Some factoring work. We do some work with some factoring companies. We have some security. We have one security company we work with, but primarily on the lean staffing side, we're working with 95% transportation logistics because it's just so much opportunity. I mean, right now I think we're working with 5 of the top 100 logistics companies in the U.S. So that's 95 more customers out there that we can.
We've got a long ways.
We got a long way to go. Lot. So why focus on anything else when we have that opportunity?
Is it asset and non-asset?
We got both. I mean, we got asset clients doing their safety and their logbook auditing down there. Running night and weekend dispatch is a big one for the assets because it's so hard to keep those people here. We essentially put night and weekend dispatch teams together, and they're there. They don't quit after 2 months, and they're half the cost of what it is here in the U.S. So again, it's jobs that U.S. companies are struggling to keep and fill, and it's a thorn in their side. And we're coming up with that solution and saying, here, this is what we do.
Yeah.
And
so
fixes the problem.
As I think about nearshoring or moving things offshore, there's always language barriers and cultural barriers that take place. How do you guys address that and get companies comfortable with the fact that you're not dealing with U.S. citizens that are actually answering the phone and talking to their clients?
I mean, that's a great question. That's like what a lot of the questions we get when we're talking to people about doing business with us. As far as the culture, we engage our clients to go to Colombia, train there, and instill their culture. Because everybody pretty much does the same thing, but they do it in a different way. And culture is important of how they run the company and what they want out of their people and getting that culture. So we work hard on putting that culture into each individual client's perspective of what they want down there. So we leave that up to the client to develop the culture. We have cultural training that'll teach them, here's how they do things in the US. We put them through a training process, and 1 full week is spent on English and US business culture as part of the training process.
And that's regardless, they go to your general training before
Correct.
They go in and work at the individual freight broker or trucking company that they're associated with.
Correct. We put them through 30 days of training where they already understand what a pallet is, what a lumper is, what LTL is, just the basic stuff.
What the Southern dialect is different than the Boston dialect.
Correct. In addition, what we do too is we work on over 30 different systems. So if we know we have a need, we get a scaling needs for our clients. We're like, hey, what are you looking at in the next 90 days? If we have clients that are in scale that are using a certain TMS, we put them in training on that TMS to learn it. So when the client hires their 10 people, they don't have to sit there and say, okay, here's how you log in, here's how you do this.
Right.
We already train them there. So if it's track and trace, we're teeing them up to train in the system they're already going to be placed in if they're working. So we get it, make it so easy. To hire somebody here in the US it's a pain. It's difficult, and it's a process on your team because they got to stop what they're doing and teach them.
Yeah.
So we kind of try to take a little bit of that pain out and make it easy.
Especially there's so many freight brokers growing so fast. I mean, third-party logistics companies particularly are growing much faster than the broader sector because people like the fact that there's that flexibility. It's a job that still requires humans and human intelligence as part of the core staff. I'm curious, where do you find the biggest opportunities for savings? Is it in matching the trucks and essentially buying the capacity? Is it track and trace? Where do companies that are using lean actually enjoy the most savings?
So I always tell our people, especially our young sales guys out there, the words we like to use, we have the most significant EBITDA improvement that exists in transportation. You literally can cut your cost, which is the biggest cost on your P&L of business employees.
Human.
So we're 30 to 35% realistically off of employee costs. So essentially every 10 employees is $200,000 a year in savings.
Wow.
It's a big impact, especially if you're trying to hire 25 people and you bring 25 in a class and then 10 stay. Then
and they don't have HR issues and other things that they have to contend with. The
HR risk in the U.S. right now is crazy.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
Just the HR risk alone is a reason to look at it. The savings is a reason to seriously take it in consideration. And then it's an asset because those people you hire today in Colombia, in your office in Colombia, a year from now, they're better. They understand. They know how to do things. So next year, they're doing customer service. The year after that, they're doing full-fledged brokering and covering loads, and they're supporting the team here so you can grow here. Your revenue-producing focus is here. Create the revenue producing here, get the customers, get the clients here, do the backup stuff down there to where you're not having the turn. It's booking loads is stressful. It's stressful.
Sure.
When you're fighting and trying to cover trucks, it's you don't go home at night loving what you just did all day. You love the success of it because wow, I had 50 loads covered. I covered them all. I made margin. I made money, so I'm happy. But there's days where capacity is tight, is crazy tight, and you can't get a truck for what you need to get it for, and you go home beat up.
Yeah, especially around hurricanes and other things that tend to happen.
It's insanity. So down there, you're supplementing that and creating a security blanket so you have talent in the future.
And it's redundancy. And you have the resiliency, and you guys have proven the model in the logistics space, which I think is really important.
Yeah,
I'm curious, what is the most difficult language dialect in the U.S. for Colombians to deal with? Just in terms of geographical dialect, are the challenges?
We don't. A lot of the stuff is done email now. There's so much email. There's so much stuff done through chat sessions.
Satcom. Are you connecting to the ELD devices?
We haven't done anything with ELD connection yet. I mean, we're doing. We do have some asset-based clients that are actually doing full dispatch down there, and they've taught the people down there to like calculate time you're going to be able to do a load if you can actually do it.
Got it.
So understanding what the hours of service are, and can you deliver this load in 3 days or not. So they can pick up anything. And what's crazy is clients go down there and they're like, wow, these are real people. Like,
it's humans, yeah.
They're humans.
I had a friend that had an offshoring place. He was offshoring to the Philippines, and he said that the Boston accent. I thought it was a southern accent.
I thought you were going to say Boston.
Sure. Boston was the most difficult for them to understand. It was the southern accent that wasn't hard because it's very slow. So Adam, you're an investor in this business. How did you get involved, and what has been your experience in terms of helping the business scale?
Dave brought me in, was it 3 years ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. He's been telling me about the business probably for about 5 years, and so I kind of watched it grow from almost nothing, to something, and then it was pretty exciting. And then he said there's an opportunity. I'm more on the finance side, and so now that we're starting to get bigger and bigger, my role will probably become more and more important. And this is definitely the most exciting thing I'm doing right now. I'm probably invested in 7 or 8 different companies in totally different industries, but to see 250% growth, year on year, and it looks, as transportation kind of takes a dip, it almost seems like we're doing better. So we were growing pretty steadily for 5 or 6 years, and then before I came here, they were still growing at 100% a year, and now we're doing 250%. As you see, kind of the Dow transports take a little bit of a dive for some reason. Now we seem to be doing even better. So
yeah, as the market has gotten soft, and we see it in our sonar data, but as the market has softened, I imagine companies are being much more discretionary in how they spend their money. They're looking at every single expense.
Exactly.
I've seen a lot of companies go bankrupt in trucking, particularly asset-based carriers. Yep. We haven't really seen a big fallout in the non-asset, the brokerages, but certainly the asset guys are struggling.
And we had one issue where we had a client that went bankrupt and got stuck with a bill.
Was that in Ohio?
Started with an F and ended with an N, but I won't say
that. We know it well.
Rhymed with
actually
Alkin.
Covered that story. We were the ones that broke it. We saw it. It was at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday, and there was one of our signals had gone off because we actually track all this data. And we know exactly what you're talking about. So we were really interested in what was happening, and that story was a tough one. But it's not the only bankruptcy. There's actually been quite a few that have happened, and I don't think we're done. I think we'll see more of those.
Well, I think that's what it takes for us to lose a customer. Basically, they have to go.
They have to
go completely bankrupt. Barely anybody ever leaves us. Like you said, our employee retention is excellent, and when you go down there, our employees are super happy. Everybody's always smiling. Fortunately, all the management team kind of has the same philosophy of treating the people really well. We pay above market down there, so everybody's happy. And of course, we want to make sure that our clients are treating our employees well, which hasn't been an issue at all. Which is kind of interesting, because we have a lot of diversity down there. Mm-hmm. Of course, they're all Latino, obviously. Well, not all actually. Some are not. And we have women in high-level positions of power. In fact, our key employee is a woman, besides our CEO.
I was married to a Colombian. I know she was in charge.
She gets things done.
She
gets things done. So.
She ran things, and my son is 12. She keeps him in line. So I think it's interesting. The culture in Colombia, women are very powerful. They're respected, and she certainly was in charge of the house. So she kept things real tight. Colombia's a beautiful country. I would recommend anyone go. It's a country that I think is underappreciated just because of its history, but it's really a very safe country these days.
Well, obviously Narcos came out and reminded everybody about how it used to be, but that's another big thing people ask is how safe it is. I've been going down there for 8-9 years now. I've never one time not felt completely safe.
No, there's a president 2 decades ago when I met my ex-wife. There was actually a new president that had come in, and he had a very strong focus on building the country and really creating stability. And it's interesting because Venezuela has had the opposite, and a lot of the stability is actually in Colombia. It's a beautiful country. It's in many ways it's a honeycomb of Latin America. It's sort of in the center of it. If you think of it as Latin American sort of economic development, there's a ton of stuff happening.
Well, we went whitewater rafting. I was down there. I go down there. I'm in Medellin 2 weeks out of the month because we launched the Lean Tech, and I'm down there getting that off the ground. And we went whitewater rafting, and where we were whitewater rafting, they were telling us the gorillas occupied that 7 years ago. You wouldn't be able to come here.
Yeah.
And now we're there. So I've been to every city, Cartagena. We have offices in Cartagena, Barranquilla, Bogota, and Medellin. And I've been to all those cities, walked at night, gone to dinner, taken clients. 3 weeks ago, we had 14 clients visiting us in 1 week.
That's awesome.
And we took them all out. We had, one thing is like what was it, FreightWaves transparency, and like transparency is like what's going on in today. 20 years ago in freight, you wouldn't have even known. We wouldn't have talked. We would have hated each other. You're a competitor.
Yeah, and you didn't get. And we
now
have competitors there. Yeah,
it's like everybody's together now and talking and sharing ideas and
there's a lot more collaboration. I think it's a younger, just a younger generation, younger businesses. A lot of them work together. Yep. There's this thing, and we see it in Chattanooga, and I think Chicago has a very similar experience, and frankly throughout the country, is these things effectively coaching trees. I'm a college football fan. I think of like the Nick Saban coaching tree and all the coaches that sort of came out of that, and so a lot of that is true of freight too. Is they tend to start it whether it's C.H. Robinson or Coyote or Access America, and they sort of filter throughout the industry, and they're all very tight, and they're all friends, and it's a friendly industry. How does someone get in touch with you guys if they wanted to potentially explore the opportunity to do some outsourcing?
So, I think if you just Google lean staffing, we come up. We got so much, obviously with you guys have helped us as well. And we got so much publicity, but leanstaffing.com, you can go on, we're on LinkedIn. We've done a really good job of being all over LinkedIn. If you just go onto our LinkedIn page, you can contact any of our people there, we're on all social media, Instagram, Facebook. I can give my phone number out in the interview if you want. We're going to be around. We're at every show. We're everywhere. But essentially, go to leanstaffing.com and reach out to us and get in touch. And it's amazing how we built this brand just over the last year and the traction we've made. We actually get inbound calls now all the time. I remember our sales guys were green. They were just out of college sitting there and they were pounding away, and I tell them pound away. And it's funny, you're doing the Wolf of Wall Street. One of the reasons we did the sponsor, we became the keynote sponsor there, is because when they first started, my two sales guys, Nick and Ryan, we have three now, Nick, Ryan, and Hunter. Ryan's my oldest son, Hunter's my youngest son, and Nick is like my adopted son. So when they first started, I go, listen, I don't have time to teach you what to do. Go Google Jordan Belfort, go on the Wolf of Wall Street. He's got a thing on there, see what he does. And so as a reward to them, because we've come so far just in the last 2 years and the work they put in, I reward them. I did that so they can meet them and have a meet and greet and have lunch with them.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome.
Cool,
well, congratulations to you guys and your success.
Thank you.
We're going to see you at FreightWaves Live. We have Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street in Chicago. It's November 12th and 13th. You can still get tickets there. It's a great chance to learn about the future of freight. It's also a great opportunity to meet lean staffing and what you're doing. You certainly have an invite to go to Colombia if you are interested in looking at outsourcing and looking at the opportunity to have a firm that understands freight and logistics help you build and scale your business. So, guys, well, thanks. We look forward to connecting in Chicago.